Welcome to Horticulture, where a group of extension professionals and plant people talk about the business, production, and joy of planting seeds and helping them grow. Join us as we explore the culture of horticulture. Hey everybody, it is Alexis just jumping on here for a solo mission. Things have been kind of crazy between the weather and just the holidays for us getting together to record. So we're doing a few solo missions. So if you hate the sound of my voice, this is not the episode for you. And no offense taken in that way. I know sometimes things just get crazy to listen to. But anyways, jumping on here. And I thought I might talk about some of my favorite things this year that I have used. A couple of them, if you've been listening for a while, you will have heard of before, which just means they're still my favorite, which I think is something. So these are kind of some grower things that might be useful for you, whether you are a commercial grower or even a home gardener. I think that these could be of use to any of you all. And of course, in the extension world, we have to say we are not giving any specific, goods to, and we're not making any money off of any recommendations that we give out. I try and be as general as possible, but some things are just, known as it, like duct tape or Kleenex, as in the industry. You might buy duct tape and it might not actually be by the brand duct tape, right? So I try and do that. So buy from any brand that you want, but hopefully these types of things could be helpful for you in your gardening or farming lifestyle. So the first ones I want to talk about, because I have been using them a lot lately, are my hand hose. And so I have two that are very, very similar. I'm not saying that you need both, but I like both for sort of different reasons, but I really do think they're similar enough that you could get away with just having one. And so the first one I'm going to talk about, I got from a local supplier, Earth Tools. Shout out to them. They're wonderful in educating our farmers on a variety of different things here in Kentucky, but they carry a hand hoe. It's made by DeWitt. This one is, again, I think there's some other great places out there that make these, but the one I have and have used is from DeWitt, and it is called the Cape Cod hand tool, and it is one of those that you use sort of on the pull. And the reason I like that is it's very thin. So if you know what an emery board, those things that you file your nails with, those thicker ones look like, it's honestly about that size. So we're only talking about, an inch and a half maybe. I'm not honestly great with eyeballing measurements, so I would say no bigger than 2 inches. And it is a little hand tool. It comes in right and left-handed. And so I would recommend that you make sure you're getting the right one for you. My left-handed husband hates using some of my tools because they are made for right-handed me. So make sure you're paying attention when you order those. But the Cape Cod one, so it's thin. I like it because it is the width of it, as far as I guess the length of it really, is just at the right size to get between my very close plantings. And so when those plants are, very young, we like to, weed in between those when necessary. And then eventually, hopefully those plants are large enough and healthy enough that they kind of shade out the weeds, right? And a lot of the plants that I grow are sort of in a rosette type form, which means they're very low to the ground and they kind of spread out. And so it can be kind of hard to weed between them. And so this one is not only low profile, but it is a good width, which is I'd say about 5 inches, and it gets between my 6-inch plantings. And so that's what I love about it. I can get really, really close to the base of those plants and pull up a lot less of them and nick a lot less of them. I still do it when I'm not paying attention, or one of the dogs has run up on me, or, I'm just in my own little land when I'm weeding. But I really like these little hand hose. The other one that I have that I love for It does get really close to plants, but it's a little higher profile, so it's not kind of sneaking up under them. So when plants are a little bit larger, not those, an inch off the ground kind of little babies, I really like this one, and it's a little chunkier. And so it's a Japanese hand hoe. There's a couple different versions out there. I cannot find like the exact name for the description of the one I like, but if you look up Japanese hand hoes, there's a bunch of places that make them, and just get one that seems to be of high quality and can be sharpened And again, those come in right and left, and it is very similar, but it just cuts through those weeds. Now these two, you do have to be, kind of on your hands and knees to get them done. But I believe they also make these in a stand-up version. So if that's more your cup of tea, I have one that is in a stand-up version, and it is great, although I am personally not great with it, but it is great for those people who are a little bit more careful in their movements. And so I need to be a little bit closer when plants are small to get them weeded well. But anyways, the Japanese hand hoe, the DeWitt Cape Cod, I really love them for scraping out weeds. It's very, very satisfying as well, and so highly recommend those. Another one I like, again, this is a brand. You can buy a temperature controller, I think, from a couple different brands. The one I have personally used is by Inkbird, and it is a temperature controller for both heating and cooling. And so it's just this little thing. I plug a little space heater into it, and I've also plugged a fan into the cooling side, but you could plug just about anything that just takes, like a regular plug. Maybe that's a humidifier or something like that. Anything that you might use to cool down a space into the cooling. And so it keeps temperature of a room and turns on that heater or turns on that fan when you need to. So you kind of set your ideal temp. So if you want to keep it around 40, you say, hey, it can get up to 43 or down to 38, and it'll keep it within those ranges. And I have really liked this when storing my tubers or for starting some tulips early or things like that. You can use this. I use this in my walk-in cooler, but this could be in a garage or a shed, a basement, whatever. And I love that it has both, because I think we run into a lot just one or the other. And so it either, but it doesn't help you if it gets really, really cold in there and you've really just had the fan and, you get some weird freak weather, as we have a lot here in Kentucky at least, then you need your heater on, or vice versa. And so I really love that it has been both. It's been very economical. It's easy to use. You can also get one that's Wi-Fi capable if you have it in an area that can pick up signal, which means it's even easier to use on your phone, and you can check it at any point in time. So if you're one of those kind of crazy people like me who wants to know at any point in time, you can grab the one with Wi-Fi for just a little extra $. So again, that's the Inkbird. I believe there are some other makers out there. This is just the one that I've used, but feel free to check out some of those others. So it's just a temperature controller for heating and cooling. Moving on to the wind strip trays. And so this one is a brand. I've not found anyone else who makes these, so they must be, kind of copyrighted. And that's WINSTRIP, wind strip tray. So these were trays that we used on the research farm at UK. And they're still using them, and I love them. I bought some for myself as well. And these are for those of you who like to do your own seeding. They come in a variety of sizes. And what is so great about these is that they last forever. So they're not those cheap plastic trays that maybe if you're lucky, you can get 2 seasons out of them if you take care of stuff. These are a hard, thick plastic. They're easy to wash, and they root prune, which is the other important thing. There are a lot of different thick, multi-year use trays. These ones specifically do some root pruning. And these, I found these, or I knew about them from the farm, but the reason I kind of moved to doing them is because I was doing soil blocking for a while, and really, I wanted to get away from using as much plastic. Really loved that there was some root pruning, air pruning is also known, happening. So my transplants were happier. They took off quickly, but they were hard for me on a bulk scale to get done when I was doing a lot of seedlings, and to get those things, set out, and they were harder to water. And so I had to, if I'm having somebody else water for me, I have to train them specifically how to water those trays. And so the wind strip trays are a good in between. Yes, they're still plastic, but they're not a throwaway 1-time or 2-time use. They're going to be multi-use plastic. You're going to have them for a really long time, and they have these wide slits on the sides of the cells that allow for the same type of air pruning to happen. And so I tend to see that my seedlings seem to be slower at first, but then they kind of take off and they're ready in about the same amount of time as a normal tray would be, but they kind of have a slow start. And that's because they're doing some really good root growth under there, and I have healthy transplants. And so you can get those. Like I said, those are wind strip trays. I think Bootstrap Farmers also carries them, or you can buy them directly from Wind Strip or Never Sink Tools. So there's a couple options there where you can find them for good quality. They are expensive. So if you're used to buying the cheap trays that are, 1 or 2 time use, you're going to get a little bit of sticker shock. I recommend just buying a couple at a time. I buy 10 every year until I'm kind of at where I need to be. And they come in a variety of cell sizes, and they even have, I've seen, 4-inch pots and things like that. So if you're one of those people who really likes to get your tomatoes, up to a nice pot size before putting them in the ground, but you don't want to have to, waste plastic every year, or you want those root pruning things, you can get them in bigger pots. So that's a pretty cool thing to do. Highly recommend those. And like I said, I know the Research Farm uses a lot of them, so they're good ones. All right, and then moving on, I always recommend, because it's something that I personally review every year, and I recommend it to a lot of people because it's something that's easily digestible in the accounting world, which is, in my opinion, as a plant person and a grower, not the easiest thing in the world. So if you are a grower, a small business person, it really doesn't matter what you're selling. The book Profit First, and I'll make sure we get some links in there, is going to be a game changer. At least it was for me. And like I said, it's easy, digestible. The author, Mike, and I'm blanking on his name. I'll make sure to get it in the show notes for you, but he is funny. So an accounting book that's actually funny is great. And, we have a bunch of really excellent extension resources and some, primer and different things that you can do, some nice worksheets. And I do recommend those still as well. But the Profit First book was a really big game changer when we bought our farm, how to start paying yourself, just kind of how all of that works. And so I always want to recommend that and still recommend it in my publications. No matter, again, if you're a farmer or maybe you're making something else, jellies and jams and selling them. It's just kind of all about business without being incredibly boring and overwhelming to take in. It just puts it in really simple terms to help you get started and to begin paying yourself, which I think a lot of farmers don't do. So highly recommend that. And then sort of the last thing I want to say, I could go on about the cool things that I've seen, but I wanted to focus on ones that I really use regularly and, just can't say enough good things about. And this one is really simple. You can buy it just about anywhere, box stores, those fancy online places that get you things in a day or two. But it's just a little mister, like a little pump mister. And so if you're used to like what a little pump sprayer, backpack sprayer type thing is, this is the same system, but it's small. It's only half gallon, maybe a gallon. So really small, handheld, and you just pump it with your hand and it mists. And I never realized how much I needed one until I found one, and it was on sale, and I grabbed it and was like, maybe I'll use this for my seedlings or something. And I use that thing for everything, whether you're putting on, a neem oil, or you're wanting to mist your houseplants for, to increase humidity, or you've got some really tiny seeds that you don't want to wash away by watering them. And I don't tend to bottom water a ton of my stuff, even though I should. I like the pump mister. And so it really can help with humidity as well. If you're storing some stuff, you go in once or twice a day and give the area a little mist. And so, like I said, any brand, buy them pretty much anywhere, especially in the springtime, and I get a lot of use out of mine. In fact, I want another one, and one that I just use for water, and maybe, if I'm doing any foliar feeding with some, worm castings or something like that, I can use one, and then another one that will be used for, if I ever need pesticides. and need to do a foliar on that one, and on a small scale. And I think that can be really helpful, especially if you've got some like indoor plants or small plants that are hard to hit with the hose. And so I love my pump mister, and I never really thought about it and thought it would be as useful as it is. So I do want to throw that out if you're looking for a couple things to maybe make your life easier. If you have any questions about these items, feel free to, of course, reach out to me. You can send an email to that horticulture email address, and we will all get it. And, if you just say, Alexis, what was that thing that you talked about? Or I can't find it. Or do you have a recommendation on cell size or whatever it is? Feel free to shoot that out, and we will definitely check it and get back to you. I'm going to try and post on our Instagram some photos of these items in case you're curious onto what they look like if you go searching for them. So you can follow us at Horticulture Podcast on Instagram. Again, you can message us on there if you want, but I'll get some photos up when this episode is released that you all can check out and see if that might work for your system, if it's going to be good for you. And lastly, send us some stars. Let me know, have you used any of these things? Write a little review and let me know if you like your wind strip trays, or if you've read the Profit First book, or maybe if you've come on to some other really great business accounting information that is digestible that the world could use, that other growers could use. Leave us a review, leave us some stars. It helps other people find us. But we really appreciate you being here today. I know I'm only on here by myself and I keep saying we, but I can tell you that we as a group, Jessica, Brett, Ray, and I, do really appreciate it. And we enjoy doing this for you all. So when you listen and it benefits somebody, it means a lot to us and kind of fills our bucket up, as we like to say, and so that we can water all of our other plants. But thank you so much for being here with me today. If you listen to me jabber on in my own voice, I appreciate you. Thank you for checking us out, and we hope that you will join us next time and that you have a great one.